Forgiveness can be challenging, especially when someone has wronged you. Does everyone deserve forgiveness? Are there certain things that are beyond forgiveness? We'll get into it after I hit this music. Joining me this week is Father Robert Schneider from the Diocese of Winona-Rochester, and he happens to be my pastor as well. Father Schneider, thank you so much for coming on today.
You're welcome.
So, Father, forgiveness, this is something that, for me personally, I kind of struggle with a little bit. Ever since I ran for school board, you got a lot of people talking hate about you. And it's like, because some of the stuff they said was very, very untrue. And it's like, you have a hard time letting that go. How does a person forgive somebody, especially when they don't say sorry back? How do you forgive somebody when they do you wrong?
Well, it's the whole message of the gospel pretty much, because forgiveness is not normal and it's not natural. We human beings, really probably the genetic part of us that comes out of the animal kingdom, is when I've been hurt, I'm going to hurt back. And that's all the feuds and struggles throughout history. Jesus was, and Gandhi and some others along the way, the Buddhists say it's essential for your own happiness. So when we focus on the person who's wronged us and how we're going to get them back, and if they're not even sorry, then we're on the wrong focus. The focus has to be forgiveness is essential for me, because when you can't forgive someone, it's a little bit like every morning you get up and take a shot of poison and hope that they suffer. It won't bother them the slightest that you're mad, doesn't bother them that you're angry, doesn't bother them that you won't forgive them, doesn't make any difference. So the whole focus has to change from the person who's wronged you to looking in the mirror and say, I can't be happy until I let go of this. And we know already medically that ulcers, indigestion, and some say even the cause of cancer is a person who carries a grudge, who's angry about that hurt they've had, who can't let go. It's kind of like the person who's hurt you has grabbed you, and you can't even make choices about your own happiness because you're still dealing with the hurt. And so Jesus is the one, and he hung on the cross and said, I'm going to be an example. No one has been hurt as much as I have. They've tortured me. They've hung me on a cross in the most cruel execution humans have ever come up with. And I looked and said, forgive them. So I'm telling you, it can be done. It's not easy. So I think that's the key to it. It's just not easy. And especially if the other person doesn't care, they're not going to ask for forgiveness. But again, your happiness doesn't depend anything on them. And that's kind of, I think, where people get stuck. And once you can let go, and it's not easy, sometimes it takes years, but you just have to keep saying, why does this person still in my head? Why am I still emotionally pushing back? It's almost like, I had a bad meal and I got sick and I vomited. Am I going to think about that for the rest of my life? Or I got well within 2 or 3 days. My stomach's okay again. I'm going to forget those cream peas or whatever it was that made me sick. It's in the past.
Yeah, a few months ago, I saw on a friend's Facebook post, he shared a post. It was about Elon Musk. And apparently Elon Musk got bullied online and he had to leave the meeting. So his post read, everybody should bully this guy. And I said, well, honestly, I don't think no one should be bullied at all. And then, of course, you get a lot of hate back from that. Well, people are finding ways to justify bullying. If you're a kid, it's bad. If you're an adult and you cause someone to lose jobs, or you perceive that, or you did this or you did that, you're such a bully that it's okay to bully you because you're bullying us as a country. What's your thoughts on that?
It's never okay to inflict harm on another human being, no matter what your justification is. So you can justify, the Nazis justified exterminating Jews. You can justify the worst cruelty humans have ever known if you just kind of do it. But if you look at the message of Jesus, you never can bully another person. You can maybe write a letter to Elon and say, I would appreciate it if you, but you don't bully him. You don't scratch up his cars. I mean, you don't want to buy a Tesla, don't buy one. But never can you be cruel or mean to another person. And bullying is never justifiable. Never.
So is there ever a time where you don't have to forgive somebody? Is there ever a
Well,
time?
again, remember, it's about, do I want to carry that pain with me and have the ulcers? That's what it means never to forgive.
Okay.
Remember, the person doesn't care. So if you keep thinking about forgiveness is like, what if the person died? They don't care if I forgive them or not. I mean, they're out of the equation. So that's the shift that has to happen, to take the person who's wronged you out of the equation. It's as if they moved to the bottom of South America. You're never going to see them again. And even if you do, you're going to just, it's in the past. Now,
Yeah.
you've got one of the questions you gave me ahead of time was, what if they continue to be
Yes.
cruel to you? Well, that's an old Abbey thing, Dear Anderlanders kind of thing. You don't have to be a doormat. And I think Gandhi said it best. The Buddha, it was the Buddha, I got that mixed up. The Buddha said, I don't have to accept your foul language, because when you throw manure into the air, where does it land? So I refuse to accept your manure. Where does it going to land? It comes back to you. But I've just reflected like I had an invisible force field, and
Yeah.
it came out of your mouth, and I just pretend I didn't hear it. It goes right back to you, because now you have to deal with the fact that you're giving me manure and I'm not accepting it.
Yeah. So you're stuck with it. That's a that's a great
I love
analogy.
that from the Buddha. Yeah.
It is good. For myself personally, for me with forgiveness, now since the school board, when I ran it, it's not just one person. I feel like I have a hard time forgiving the community because it wasn't just one person. It was a bunch of people. There was people on my connections I have working on anti-bullying. They left my group. And I know this because I happen to know some of their significant others, and I got some feedback from them. Um, it kind of hurt my business a little bit. There's just all these repercussions of running for something that you believe in and people twisting your words around to work against you. Sometimes I wish, like, gosh, I wish they could experience what I'm feeling because this is so unfair. So what really bothered me the most, it was from two people. And these two people are pretty big deals in the community. One was a member of the school board. I said, hey, why was I attacked? Well, that's because you're friends with this person. Like, well, that doesn't make no sense.
Of course, it makes no sense.
The other person, the significant other, because his girlfriend was part of my group and then she left, I go, what happened to her? Well, it's because of the person you are friends with. They have different beliefs that you talk about in your anti-bullying seminars. So I'm like, well, that's not fair. What happened with her is she apparently there was a Facebook post many years ago. It was a comment. The Facebook post was fake. Someone rebuilt the Facebook post. The whole context of this post was that that she's racist. And so if she's racist, I guess in turns that I am racist now. So all of the stuff, which is not true. But that's how the community now perceives it. If you're friends with somebody with a certain belief, and by the way, this lady was not racist at all. That's what they said she was. But that's a whole different topic. But since I'm friends with this person, now I'm racist. And that's what really drove me nuts because that's not who I am. And then I had this other non-for-profit group tell everybody that if I was going to be elected, I would actually increase suicide rates in kids. It's like, wow, that letter really went way off the deep end. It's like, that's what's so hard to forgive. It's like, how do you forgive that? It's like a personal attack from the community, not just from one person. So that's what I struggle with. And I try not to let it get to me, but it gets to me. It's tough.
Yeah.
So how do you work around that? And that can go the same with anybody. Say, for right now in this country, people are ticked off at politics because we're losing this, we're losing that, this is happening, and they're not going to let it go. It's too hard to forgive. And it's easy said than done, I guess. So how do you work yourself? It sounds like to me forgiveness is a habit. How do you get that habit?
Well, I worked many years with high school students, and we come up kind of believing that it should be fair. So kids are taught in grade school, you have to be fair when you play on the playground. You have to be fair and take your turn. Fairness is built into us, and it's actually kind of biological. And that's part of where this problem comes when we're not treated fairly. You kind of hit the nail right on the head. And so one of the things I would start to tell my juniors and seniors is life is not fair. Now, how do we cope with a life that's not fair? It's not fair that you and I have enough to eat and don't have bombs dropping on us. How come some people have to live in Gaza in this horrible situation? That isn't fair that they have to deal with that and we don't. And so how angry do they need to be about anybody that has anything to do with the bombs dropping on them? And so it kind of comes down to number one, life is not fair. And then number two, kind of back to my original point. Okay, it's not fair. How do I deal with the unfairness? I would love to hit them back. I would love to do them in. I would love to straighten it out. And I had a friend who was a classmate and a principal, and she said, you know, nobody shoots at a can in a ditch. Put it up on a fence post and people take pot shots at it. So by your running for school board, you just put yourself up on the fence. And then all these people driving by now have something to shoot at. And anytime I'm a pastor, I've had people go at me like crazy. Oh, you want all the Ukrainians dead because you don't support Plan A, B. What do you mean? I don't want any Ukrainians dead. Well, but you are lined up with this person and they want to do this. Well, it's just what you said. Just because I'm in a relationship with somebody, don't apply that to me. So here's the age-old thing. I was once robbed by somebody with darker skin. Therefore, all people with darker skin are thieves. That was way back when, as a childhood, it was people, Native Americans. All Native Americans steal because one did. And it goes on and on and on. And of course, in this country, we got the red and the blue, and we can go berserk on that. I've never seen anything like it in my 73 years as a horrible antagonism, the red blue thing in this country. And what I found is if you know somebody with the other color and you're having dinner and you don't mention who's in charge and you don't mention politics, we have beautiful people who are red and beautiful people who are blue. And if we just spent more time talking to each other about what matters, like, I want to be happy. I want my kids to be happy. I like the idea of having enough to eat. I like an idea where things are as fair as we can make them. And so again, it's the focus. If your focus is on these people who've wronged you, you'll never be able to forgive them. However, the focus is life is unfair, and I'm looking in the mirror and I'm going to do what's good for me right now. And what's good for me is, for myself, is take a motorcycle ride because that's pure enjoyment. And I don't forget about these people who are mad at me or
Okay.
who have hurt me, who have been mean to me. And I think you're working with an industry, with your business. Get involved in that and just forget about all these people who took pot shots at you when you're running for school board.
Yeah. Yeah. And then, so some people, for some people, that might be hard to still forgive. Like, you can still go for a bike ride, you can still go run on the treadmill, walk. Is there any other things you can tell yourself maybe to let that anger go? Is there any other
Well, from
tips?
my perspective, it's prayer because God can reach into our hearts, and our hearts sometimes get really hardened when we've been hurt severely. So just, Lord, give me the spiritual strength to let go of this. And if that's your prayer every day, God will answer it.
Okay. One thing, we're in a society where we need things now. So,
Oh, yeah, that's another problem.
you know, there's, I guess you have to look for those subtle, you have to look for those simple signs in life, those not simple, those subtle signs in life to see that it's working. Um, one thing I've always questioned, and forgive me for asking this, but if we're supposed to forgive people, why do we have to go to confession if we committed a mortal sin? Like,
It's
why can't God
because,
just confess? Why can't he just forgive us because we're supposed to forgive other people? I'm trying to see if there's a, like, for me, looking at, if I step back, look at Catholic religion from the outside,
sure.
I'm supposed to forgive this person who said bad things to me, who ruined my reputation. They did it on purpose to further their political agenda, whatever. I committed a sin, that a moral sin, which is something that I chose to do wrong. But in order to receive forgiveness, I need to go to confession. And that's the Catholic Church rules. Why do I have to go to confession? Why can't God just forgive it without me confessing it?
God does forgive. All you have to do is ask for it. Now, what's happened is we find that psychologically, spiritually, our own verbalization of my bad choices is healing. And so over the centuries, we've just discovered it's kind of like a lot of people spend money and go to a therapist and unload what they did. I committed adultery. I slept with the neighbor's spouse. Yeah, God will forgive you. Just ask. That's for sure. And for instance, every time we come to worship, let us call to mind our failures. And I give the same absolution in church over the entire group as I do in confession. Now, you've used the word mortal sin. I would switch it to serious sin.
Okay.
Mortal sin means you completely cut off your life from God. And right now, the only way I know to do that is premeditated murder and premeditated adultery, that I don't care how much damage is done to the Christian community and to my marriage and to this person's marriage, I'm going to have sex anyway. Those are in the category of mortal sins. But for
Okay.
most people, we do serious sins. We do things that are damaging to ourselves and others. But God forgives those without going to confession. But the confession is healing. It's like I've actually heard another person say, okay, you made a bad choice. This God loves you intensely and it's forgiven. And it's kind of neat to hear that.
Yeah. Yeah. I honestly, going to confession the first time, I was scared because I didn't
Of
know
course.
what to expect. But honestly, it's like free therapy.
Oh, it is.
Really.
It really
It's
is.
it's free therapy.
But there's
So,
no one, I don't know any, there's very few people who like it. I would say most people, it's like going to the dentist. Do I have to?
Father, is there any other advice you have for people who struggle with forgiveness to help make their lives easier? I know we touched on a few topics, do what you love to do. For you, it's going for a bike ride. For me, I like to do cardio. Any other advice to help ease that pain that someone has hurt us?
Well, that's one. And then the one right with it, maybe more important, is prayer.
Prayer, yes.
Lord, heal my heart. Lord, help me let go of this. And then if it's a serious thing and people are really serious about letting go, I say, start to pray for the person who wronged you. Like Jesus prayed for those who put him on the cross. So that's a big step. When you're really angry, to start praying that God would bless this person, God would heal this person. This person chose to be cruel to me, and now I'm asking God to give them blessings. That means you're really on the road. And then to remember that the Lord's Prayer, every time you say, forgive us our sins as we forgive those, it almost says, don't let me into heaven unless I've forgiven everyone. Whoa, that's kind of serious.
That is good. That's a good way to end this episode.
Uh,
Father Schneider, if people want to get a hold of you, follow you, are you on social media at all?
I tangentially on Facebook. People misinterpret a lot of what I do there, but and I don't check my messages on Facebook ever.
Or you got
So it's
emails?
probably,
Any emails? People want to
yeah,
email you
email, I
questions?
think, Father Schneider and 51 at gmail.com. And the 51's the year I was born. So FR Schneider 51 at gmail.com. I'll take any questions.
I had a comment back when you were on my podcast last year about the labels, and someone reached out. Does he do speaking engagements? I'm like, yeah, every weekend for free. Let's just go to this church.
Yeah. And those are online too at our website.
What's that website?
I have two parishes that initially All Saints and Immaculate Conception. So it's as-ic.org.
Okay,
And
and
then
if you're
there
watching,
is up to a year for some of the stuff we've done, weddings and funerals, and up to a month for every Sunday service.
okay, and people are watching on YouTube, you saw that web address go across the screen. Everybody else, the web address will be in the description of this podcast. Father Schneider, thanks so much for coming on again.
Good talking to you.